Gary Powers, when he returned from the almost 2 years in prison in the Soviet Union, was after we went through the congressional investigations and so, and he was, of course, still an employee of the CIA. And at that time, we had, as a result of his being captured and spending time in prison, we had been asked, the psychology staff, to put together a program that would help prepare other pilots for the possibility that they might end up in similar circumstances. That program was ongoing at the time that Gary returned, and so it was a logical thing to do to assign him to our office and help us with that program.
What did Gary tell you about his incarceration?
Gary had to wing it, since he had not been given, he'd been giving some conflicting statements of things to say, but he had not, there was no, really, he had had no preparation for dealing with what he dealt with. And so, of course, he was immediately captured, and it was immediately clear that they had all of the evidence as to what he had been doing. The plane was there, and so he was just, overwhelmed by the situation, wondering what to do. He had coming down in a parachute, he had taken the needle out of the silver dollar, which he had been given in saying, here's this, he was not told, you need to use this, or you should never use it, but here it is in case, So he's thinking, should I use this or not? And he decided not. He put the needle back into his jacket, and of course it was immediately discovered when he was taken prisoner on the ground.
Did he give you an idea of what sort of treatment he was given while he was a captive in the USSR?
Well, it varied a great deal. He was, I guess by technical definitions of torture, he was never tortured. He was given counsel. Of course, the plans for putting him on trial were made immediately, and he was, of course, advised by his Soviet attorney exactly what he should say, how to present himself, and we know how it came out. The whole idea of Khrushchev, of course, was to make a show trial showing what these terrible Americans were up to, and which is another reason that he was never tortured. They didn't want him to show up at the trial looking as though he had been tortured. Now, in terms of withholding intelligence that he knew about, there was a lot of stuff that he knew that they would like to have known, and he was able to resist telling a whole lot of stuff, and contrary to what was perceived by many people here, who assumed that he had told him everything. In fact, he withheld a great deal of information. So he came home then with this cloud hanging over him. And even though the congressional committee, at the end of their extensive hearings, gave him a standing ovation, that was not the end of the story. People continued to suspect that he had handled himself in less than the way they would expect a patriotic American to do.